Just because you're in exile in a foreign land, don't give up and plunge into despair and devolve into slums and having no children. No, continue what God has called you to do. Be fruitful and multiply and exercise dominion over a house and a garden and a family. And that's the message even for us today, Christians. We are to live, yes, as exiles in our culture, where we are. We are not to be completely at home. Citizenship, not here, up there. We've got that. But we are to live. We are to serve and build and do things that God has called us to do here. Just because Jesus has said he is going to return one day, and he will, it does not give us the license to quit our jobs and put on our ascension robes and stand on the rooftop every day singing Midnight Cry looking at the sky. We need to keep building and discipling and giving and going and praying and sending right here and right now. Just because we can feel ourselves losing our influence in the culture and becoming more marginalized doesn't mean that we disengage or adjust our lives to a bunker mentality. We need to do the opposite. We need to continue building even as exiles. Now, what God says in verse 7 is shocking to the Old Testament ear, because typically we think of the idea of praying for your enemies and those who persecute you as something Jesus uniquely said. But look at verse 7. Seek the welfare of the city where I have sent you into exile and pray to the Lord on its behalf. For in its welfare you will find your welfare. Now, this is wild stuff now. Seek the welfare of where? Babylon. Babylon? Pray to the Lord for the welfare of Babylon? Are you serious? All right, here it is, church. Stay with me now. It is tempting, and I've probably fallen for it, okay? It is tempting in the current culture in which we live to want to take on an attitude against the city in which you live. It is tempting to adopt a position of general aggression and distaste and disgust for the place in which we live because of the sin that's around us. It is tempting, like Jonah, to want to go sit on the edge of town and wait for the judgment to come and sit back and say, burn, baby, burn. You get what you got because you turned your back on the Lord. It is tempting to want to do that. Memphis is a place with problems. We know this. Too much crime, too much poverty, racial tension, infant mortality. I could go on and on. We've got problems. But listen, it's not Babylon. It's not Babylon. God told the exiles who were actively taken to seek the welfare and pray for Babylon. What excuse do we then have for hating on Memphis? We can't have an attitude of hatred toward our own Jerusalem, to be content to let it burn. No, we need to seek the welfare of this place. And that word welfare, maybe the only Hebrew word some people know, shalom. To seek the shalom of the city. Holistic peace. God says in its welfare, you will find your welfare. So the city goes, so you go. It's almost like God saying, hey, you live here too, don't you? We should want our city to be successful and to grow and to fix all the problems that plague us. And certainly we call out sin and we abstain from sin ourselves. But we cannot adopt a mindset of desiring the downfall of our city because we're exiles any more than Israel could in Babylon. That's like rooting for Sodom to get a fireball dropped on it from heaven while you're sitting in the town square. You can love your city without celebrating the sins and flaws of your city. You can desire its welfare and pray for it, and you should, because you're not likely to reach this place with the gospel if you hate it. That's important. In verse 8 and 9, God reiterates that the false prophets have been lying. He encourages the people, do not listen to them. I did not send them, declares the Lord. And this letter that we just read was a correction. It was do not hunker down, do not hate the city, do not burn it down, invest, build, pray until I lead you out.